Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You're here with Jeremy and we are building another mech, part of this Europa style universe. I picked up a couple kits from the hobby store. We got the MiG-23 flogger here, ready to go. We got some glue in the box. Don't splash into your mouth and eyes. Not don't eat, don't splash, okay? We don't want any splashing glue into your eyes with these kits, okay? These kits I found in this section of the hobby shop where it looked like the kits were ready to die, but I said no, we are going to use them and we are going to destroy them. I wanted that cockpit, which I didn't even end up using for this build, but I wanted that cockpit from that flogger, and because we couldn't use that cockpit because I thought it was garbage, I ended up pulling out this Razor Crest, and this hurt me a little, knowing that I was not going to build this Razor Crest the way it's supposed to be built. It is what it is. I had to use the cockpit, and we're going to end up using those parts for other builds on the channel, but it still hurts a bit. Obviously, need a very detailed drawing. Gave the parts a nice soap and water bath. Got the base ready, just a little piece of pine there, and clipped all the parts out. Now is probably the hardest part that I find. I mean, of course my drawing is very detailed, so this part should be no problem, but this next step is one of the hardest, finding the initial shape of these builds. But it was all coming together. I used those body parts of that truck in that first kit. When I brought these kits up to the counter, the guy looked at the one and he said, "I built this kit back in 1986. It'll take you about 30 minutes to build." I'm kind of looking at him. I'm just thinking, yeah, I'm about to destroy this kit. The other thing I found out after being in the hobby shop many times was that trains actually cost a lot of money. Because the plan was, in that last mech build, was to use a train, but when I looked at the train prices, I was like, what? Like, model kits, you can buy them for as cheap as 12 bucks, some of them, and yeah, they range in price, but the trains were like $80 to like $200 for a train cart, so that went out the window. And then, of course, I go to the front, and there's some Thomas the Train engines behind the counter, and I'm talking to the lady and going, "Oh yeah, okay, so I'm not gonna buy any of those trains. They're too much money. I'm just gonna destroy them anyways. But I'll take one of those Thomas the Train ones." And she looks at me and she goes, "Those are like 100, 200 bucks." I'm like, "What is that? That's a children's toy. What's going on here?" Anyways, so no trains for destroying mech builds. I could use a cargo train, but they're pretty basic. They're basically just sheet metal, so I don't think I'll be using any trains in these builds. Just Razor Crests and army vehicles. And sprues, as you see here. This is a weird, all of this is on the fly. I have a general idea of what I'm doing, but yeah, that's the beauty of it. As you go, you figure it out. And so using the sprue, using the garbage was just all part of the plan. And once the general shape was done, it was adding the detail. And these kits obviously come with a bunch of little attachment parts. And it's just sticking those on different places, really kind of filling out the build. I also bought a plane with these kits. It's obviously not in this build, but it was a $10 cash item. It was sold, it didn't have a barcode. That one will be featured in a future mech build. And with this mech build, I took some of the bits from the last mech build I wanted the shells from it act as essentially kind of mortars on the back, and make that make this kind of mortar launcher on the back of the mech. I'm using aluminum tube there. It's got three mortar launcher on the back there. The tri-mortar launcher. More details now. I always find the guns on these builds really bring it to life. Make it what it's really supposed to be. So it's got the mortars, it's got the side guns. Now it's time for the Gatling gun. All I'm doing here is making a little pivot. This is a random piece cut to size-ish, and then I'm gonna hand build this Gatling gun. I guess I could have 3D printed one, or I don't know, maybe there's a Gatling gun on some kit out there somewhere, but I figured hand build it, get the size you want right away. So I just took some polystyrene rod, cut up a few of them. I only got 5 into this Gatling gun, 5 barrels. I would like to get 6. It's more of an even. I think Gatling guns are supposed to have 6 barrels. This one only has 5, but that's okay. You wouldn't have noticed anyways unless I pointed it out, of course. Drilling holes with my pin vise into another little sheet of polystyrene. I used to be really into airsoft as a kid, and I remember always watching YouTube videos of airsoft, and it was mostly in Europe. As far as I know, it's pretty big in Europe. When I was building this Gatling gun, all I could think of was this airsoft Gatling gun that me and my buddies used to just be like, man, that would be the coolest thing if we had this Gatling gun. Because of course this thing cost like $1,000 or more, something silly for an airsoft gun. So alas, we never got it, and I don't really play airsoft anymore. So it's a shame, but it is what it is. I made this little band for the front of the Gatling gun. This actually ended up breaking, but it still worked. Once the Gatling gun was done, it was just adding more detail to some parts. The feet of the mech need a little more detail. I'm gonna add more detail later, but add some detail to the feet here. And these tracks came with that first kit. It's like actually like rubber. It's strange. It's weird, but it worked perfectly, I thought, as a belt for the chain gun. Not only did it look good, but it was flexible, so I was able to bend the way I needed to, and I got a lot left over, so we will probably see more chain / Gatling guns in future mech builds, which I'm excited about. The base is very simple. This is just Modge Podge with Woodland Scenics-Soft Flake Snow mixed together, spread out on the base. Pretty simple stuff. And as you saw there, I primed the mech with the zenithal highlight, black and then white over top. I put some Modge Podge in random places for the static grass, only sticking to those certain places, and then wiping away any excess. Filling in some random gaps with super glue. You can do that various ways. I'm filling it in with super glue. Simple, quick. And we're going with a pretty simple paint scheme for this mech. Silver with some green detail. And then I'm using a Vallejo Mech wash. This wash actually I really like. I've only used it a couple times. This is the second time, but it's a nice wash. Highlighting over top of that with some lighter silver. And then taking some effects, streaking grime, engine oil, etc. And putting it around gears and underneath and in crevices and just generally dirtying up the mech. Painting the cockpit, and that cockpit was from the Razor Crest. I don't think I used any parts. Ah, that's not true. Those legs, they're part of the Razor Crest. Using some contrast Citadel black paint to go over the black parts, Gatling Gun, the other guns, various detail. Painting those shells green. Now I'm thinking about it, they could have been gold too. I think that could have looked cool. Maybe in future mech builds. Painting that chain. That's a bronze from AK. And then I'm taking a Vallejo gloss and I'm painting it over the cockpit glass there to make it look a little glossier, like glass. Taking some black and just putting some little points on the barrels there to make them look like they're hollow. Sponge with some black paint. Any black paint will do. I'm using Citadels here. Some chipping effect. Painting the sides black. Gluing the mech down to the surface. You'll notice I put some footprints in the snow too. I also put some Modge Podge around his feet too to help secure not just the super glue. And adding some of that same Modge Podge snow mixture to his feet because he's walking through snow, so he's going to get snow on his feet. Adding some extra tufts. These are bigger tufts. I'm just splitting them in half. Random places. And the exhaust pipe I added in mid paint sesh. I almost forgot about it, but of course you can't have a diesel mech without exhaust. So I'm taking that batting that I used for a snow village, painted it black, super glued it on, and the final results. Big shout out to all my subscribers right now. I super appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one.